Okay, thank you very much. No, don't clap. Thank you very much for inviting me to be here, and I want to acknowledge the HLB who funded the two pieces of research that I'm going to be talking about today, and all the children and parents of schools who've been involved in this research that I'm involved in. Okay, so the background to this research, I'm going to talk about a participative research process that is part of the KEDS funding I got from the HLB, but this started off as a study into the prevalence, impact and economic cost of chronic pain among 5 to 12-year-olds in primary schools in Ireland. Why is it important? People say young children that young can't have any chronic pain, that's ridiculous. But in fact, we don't know. So we went out there and we asked over 3,000 children whether they did have chronic pain, because if they do, chronic pain stops them getting involved in things in school and socially and makes it more difficult for them to develop into happy and healthy adults. Okay, so the primary study looked at that. It was a longitudinal study with 3,116 primary school going children at baseline and 2 annual follow-ups. So this is the quant bit, okay, not the participative qual bit. Okay, so what we found was 1 in 10 of Irish children would self-identify as suffering from chronic pain, and that actually affects their ability to become involved in all sorts of activities, not just missing school. We found it increased with age. Also, girls were more likely, as in other countries, girls are more likely to self-identify as having chronic pain than boys, apart from, in our study, the one piece of information that we found that was different was that, in fact, boys, our 12-year-old boys have more chronic pain than 12-year-old girls, and a lot of them say it's sports-related, so that could be to do with the very physical all-body contact sports we have, like hurling and Irish football. Maybe that's why they're suffering from more chronic pain, and this may become more acute as they go through, because a lot of young people are becoming more sedentary with all the computer games, and then they're becoming very physical, so that might be one of it. And we found persistent chronic pain, and that was associated with impaired family functioning, school functioning, and emotional well-being. But what we also found was when we were talking to the children who self-identified in this survey, we sat in the schools for a whole day with the children who said they had got chronic pain, we explained, we checked out that it was, according to the definition of what chronic pain is, a pain that you have for at least 3 months, on and off for at least 3 months. What we found when the children sat down, they told us their pain stories, was that there was a lack of awareness around the general public about the children's experiences, and that how teachers were dealing with these children with chronic pain wasn't really the best idea. Like they say, okay, put your head on the table, drink some water, you better go and sit outside the secretary's office and wait for Mammy and Daddy to come and pick you up. So they were being isolated, they weren't getting involved with school, they felt weird, they didn't feel they were part of anything. So we decided we needed to look at this a bit more, because in terms of a quantitative study, the measures don't give you the nuance, don't give you an understanding what's really happening in terms of the impact of chronic pain on their lives. So we decided to ask children and their families to participate in a workshop with us to share what it was really like to live with chronic pain as a child. Now, the thing is, when you're recruitment, as Anna Kelly said, and everybody's talked about, recruitment is a really difficult thing to do, especially with children, because children have all these gatekeepers, so you can't get to them, you can't ask them. If you ask children if they want to work with you, they'll say yes, but you have to ask their mammy and daddy first, and so how are you going to actually invite children to work with you? And when you're inviting children from all over the country, then you've got transport issues, so you're going to need their parents. So in fact, you've got to be good at talking to parents as well as good at talking to children in order to get to the children. And if you're not working in school, if you're going through the school, then you have to get the school to buy in first, then the parents, then the children. So the way to do that is actually get the school to buy in first, then get the children and get them to ask their parents. But we weren't working through the school. We needed to identify children who had chronic pain to work with us. So what we did was we worked with support groups, people who work with children who live with chronic pain. So organisations like ICANN and Arthritis Ireland were very helpful to us to help identify children who had chronic pain. So we used participative health research, which is a way of working that I've been using since I became a researcher, and I think I became a researcher in 2000. Like that, not quite how long I've been at it. It seems like a long time anyway. And so we use participative health research, where we facilitate the children or whoever you're working with to generate their own data, to collate or analyse their data, and then present their data, and often to come up with their own solutions, without me saying, as a middle-class, middle-aged researcher, oh, I think this means this. Let them say what it means. So this is what we did. So we had a picnic in Dublin. And it was sunny. We were so lucky it was sunny because a lot of these children are living with chronic pain and we didn't have enough blankets for everybody to sit on and all this kind of stuff. But it was sunny, so we were very, very happy that it was sunny, because one of the reasons I work in this way is because as a researcher, you can never say that the research that you're going to do is actually going to make any difference to people's lives. You can hope that it will. But when you write your report, you write your paper, whatever, it may sit on someone's desk, it may sit on a shelf and never change anybody's life. And Ireland is a very, very small place. And we are over-researching certain population groups. Like I've worked with travellers a lot, and travellers don't want to get involved in research because you go, oh, we'd like to do this research with you, would you be involved? And they go, my mother did research. They came and asked her questions. Nothing has changed. I'm still on this halting site. Why would I talk to you? So as we can't promise that any change will happen, what we can do as ethical researchers is to ensure that when we're involved with people, that in fact they get something out of it. They get something out of the process. So they feel empowered or they enjoy it. And as we know, fun is something that we all love. I bet you all had fun with Padraig's and Kate's and some of the workshops. I hope you all had fun. And you enjoyed it, and so you feel energized. So that's what I do. I believe in research through fun, so we had a fun process. So what we did was we asked the children to come up with their ideas on coloured pieces of paper. They could draw or they could write. What were the main issues for them for living with chronic pain? So they produced all these ideas, and then we played the snap game, like the snap card game. So we dealt them all out, and we said, okay, what's the same? Oh, I got something about school bags. What have you got? So in this circle of our picnic, where we weren't eating pizzas, couldn't afford the pizzas, no, we had fruit and we had loads of buns and things like that, all from Lidl, of course. So that's what we did. So we played the snap game, and some of the ideas they came up with were to do with the physical things, that they couldn't get involved in things, they couldn't do what they wanted to do, not being able to play with their friends really was upsetting for them. Then they came up with all these emotions, how it affected them. It was unfair. They were disappointed. Now, when I report children's data, I do it in the way that they spell it. I don't change it. I mean, we know that says disappointed, but that's the way they chose to spell it. Very emotional time. And they get worried that bad things are going to happen and that they never get their injection done. And they hate it. They have so many appointments. You can read it themselves. They don't like going to school. In the yard, they feel sore. So they came up with lots of things that were the problem. And then they started putting them into different piles and themes and saying, this is all about not being able to play with friends, sports, all this kind of stuff. And this is about school. And then we said, okay. So then to help move the process on, we said, okay, so choose what is the most important thing to all of you. What do you want to look at in more detail? Oh, hang on. So we got this as well. Sorry. And I'm running with friends who are difficult to open things. Okay. So they came up with a web of ideas. Now, this web of ideas is something that came to me when I was doing my PhD. I was isolated in a school. They didn't want me in the staff room for something. I don't know, why didn't they want me in the staff room? But they put me in this little room on my own to eat my lunch, and there on the shelf was this thing about SPHE, and it was about a decision-making exercise. And my research actually wasn't going terribly well. They weren't coming up with, the data was a bit limited. So I said, oh, we could try this. So this, although it's sort of structured, it allows people to think in a sort of linear, but not in a linear way. So this is what they came up with. So I'll read you what they said. Well, this is what they want. They want to belong. They want to be part of school, and they think this could be supported by having a physiotherapist in once a week, or having more equipment in schools. Simple things like an exercise bike or iPads with all the school books on it, so they don't have to carry it. They want to slow the day down, slow print board to help you write. They want hot and cold packs. They want to have homework printed off. I mean, why don't teachers have their homework printed off? Why do children have to write out their homework? And if you've got juvenile arthritis, it really gets sore wrists. You can't write down your homework, so then you can't do your homework because you haven't got it written down. And they wanted to have stretch breaks. Why don't we give our children in primary school stretch breaks every hour? Just, yay, we could all do it now. Have a stretch. It's just good for everybody. So not just for children who are suffering from chronic pain. Let people rest on a pillow. Inform other people with a notice board with information on arthritis. Have more breaks and encourage good posture. So they came up with some really good ideas. So I said, these are really great ideas. How are we going to share them with the wider world? How are we going to change the world in primary schools? They said, let's make a video. So we said, yes, okay, you go and grab your parents' phone and you can make videos. So this is what they did. So I've got some videos now. Oh, okay, so I don't know how to do my wobbly thing. There's a very cool way of doing it. So.
Hello, my name is Evie and I'm 8 years old and I have juvenile arthritis and I'm going to be doing a video for you. I'm happy. My wrist is really sore. Okay, and that was the first video. For my next video,
goes on to give us another video, okay? So, but we'll talk to her later. She'll come back, and so then we've got. Can you do this, Cormac? I can't. No good. That will be there. So she was identifying some of the issues there. If you suffer from chronic pain, and we've got a wobbly thing on the card. So it does turn.
Oh, no, wrong way, Marie.
Okay, now they turn it. And this is showing an example of isolation. In fact, the dog is having a better time than herself. Trying to, this is what happens.
No.
How you feel inadequate.
I can't. I'm seen. Jen.
Go on to the next one. Okay, this is Evie again. No, I stopped.
this is what my injection and the bin that you put it in when you're done with it. When I have this taken, I am sad and scared.
Just to show some of the range of emotions that they wanted to share.
Hi, this is my Humira. It's an injection that I take for my arthritis. I take it twice a month. It is really sore and it stings.
A lot of other children in school wouldn't know that these children have to take injections every day and how difficult it is taking that injection. There's another video that she makes actually showing you taking the injection. And then this is Evie coming up with a solution. This is a great one.
Hello, and I'm going to be showing you how heavy my school bag is, and you're going to be spotting the differences. Let's go. Now I'm going to take out some books. Okay, some books are taken out. Now I'm going to try it again. Can anybody guess the differences? The differences were, if you didn't know, the differences were, in the first round, I was bending over because my bag was too heavy. In the second round, I took some books out so it wasn't so light, so I was standing up straight. And just for those who have arthritis, it's bad for when you're leaning over with a heavy bag.
Okay, so they came up with a lot, and so this is just to say, that's not a video. It's not all bad news. You know, they're very happy children, they do participate, but it's very difficult for them because they have chronic pain. Oh yeah, because they have chronic pain, no one can see it. You can't see, they look like perfectly healthy children, and yet they're riddled with chronic pain, which will have flare-ups, and they can't do a lot of stuff. And then the teacher will say, so why weren't you in school yesterday? I see you running around today, there's nothing wrong with you today. So it's through lack of awareness. So we're going to take the video, we're going to work with the children some more, and we're taking the video, adding in other things from professionals around what they think the solutions are in terms of physiotherapists, because they mentioned physiotherapists as being useful. And then we're going to take the video to teachers, and we're saying, what do you need to create a protocol in your school to help teachers deal with a child who might self-identify as having chronic pain. If 1 in 10 of children, 5 to 12-year-olds, are saying they have chronic pain, then there's a lot of it out there, and we need to help them remain in school, remain social beings, because they told us in their pain stories, they told us of how they dealt with their pain, and a lot of it was lying on the sofa when they got home. They weren't going and doing the sports they wanted to do, and so as they go into adolescence, then they're less active, they're used to lying around, they're not involved with other people socially, they start disliking their bodies because their bodies give them pain, then they may not be athletic, they may not be the body image they want to be, and it creates a whole spiral of depression and upset and makes it very difficult for them to be healthy and happy. And so that's me, I think. There you go.
Okay, thanks very much, Siobhán. We've time probably for 1 or 2 questions. Siobhán, if she doesn't disappear too quickly, I think this is a really interesting example of participatory research. At this hour of the evening, would anybody like to? Okay, I'll just ask you one question, Siobhán. I mean, what strikes me looking at this, so this very much falls under the banner of participatory research, but I think a lot of the methodology that you use can be applied in an involvement environment, or to engage, to involve people, would you think?
Yeah, it's sort of short and sweet, and asking people what they feel and facilitating them to share what they feel and come up with solutions maybe to issues like I work with women who have diabetes in relation to uptake of a pre-pregnancy program. Why wasn't it being taken up? So we asked them, and they came up with a web which identified fear was the main thing.
So using the same techniques for different purposes.
So that was involving patients.
Okay, so I think we're coming, thanks very much, Siobhán, we're coming to the end of the day, and I think we're mainly probably ready to go. So